In case you were guessing, I'm Christina Brown. I'm an immigration attorney here in Colorado, and I represent mostly asylum seekers and their children from Central America and Mexico. Thank you. I'm very grateful to have been invited to speak to you today. I spent many years with the detention and criminalization of asylum seekers being a near and dear issue to my heart, and I focused my professional career on defending asylum seekers and their children in immigration court.
Closer to your mouth, please.
Okay. Today, I want to talk to you about the big picture, because I think that sometimes as advocates, we can get a little lost in the weeds and forget to address the big picture. I'm going to address today the big picture of what's happening at the U.S.-Mexican border, and that is that Donald Trump and those within his administration are criminalizing asylum seekers simply for coming to the U.S. to ask for protection. They're placing asylum seekers in federal detention, and they're charging them with federal crimes. And they're using this criminalization of the asylum process as an excuse for why they must rip children, screaming children, from the arms of their parents and imprison them in detention camps. They're using the criminalization of the asylum process as an excuse for why these parents may be separated from their children for weeks or months. And they're using it as an excuse for why some people may be deported to the danger that they fled from their home countries, with never knowing where their children ended up in the U.S. foster system, with their parents still searching for their children from thousands of miles away. This is the big picture of what's happening in this country, and this is what we need to address. We need to make it clear, the public of this country, that we will not tolerate family separation and that we will not tolerate the criminalization of asylum seekers that serves as the administration's justification. Asylum seekers are not criminals. Our laws provide for people to come to this country to ask for asylum regardless of their immigration status.
Yes.
Trump and Sessions will tell you, and the rest of the public, that if people only did it the right way, none of this would be happening. What they fail to mention is that Customs and Border Protection is refusing to allow asylum seekers to approach the U.S. border to ask for asylum, and are instead turning people away into the hands of the government of Mexico to be deported back to the danger they fled in the first place. They fail to tell you that even if someone does somehow make it to the border to ask for asylum, they will still rip their children away, screaming from their arms, and put them in a prison for children. This administration wants to distract us. They want to have us talking about how this is necessary for public safety, how this is necessary for the enforcement of our laws. But we really need to be careful not to lose sight of the big picture here.
We call BS.
Yes.
We call BS. We call BS.
Bullshit.
It is incumbent upon all of us, every single person standing here today, every single person discussing the issue of family separation at the border, to know that how this issue is seen by the public at large is based on the decisions that we are making as we present it to the rest of the public. We need to be careful about the message that we choose and the words that we use. I started thinking a lot about this because I was thinking about the word shelter today. I have read so many articles today and in the past few weeks that tell you that these children are being held in shelters around the country.
Bullshit.
I thought a lot. I can see you thought a lot about it as well. I thought a lot about what that word presents to the public, how it changes the perception of what is happening in our country today. Shelters are places that protect people from dangerous conditions that exist outside. They're places that people seek out voluntarily. The places that our country uses to hold children they've forcibly taken from their parents are not shelters. They are prisons. They are detention camps. They are places where the government of the United States further traumatizes these children. I've been to a detention camp for women and children. I spent 8 months there, and even with their parents, even with their mothers, these children wouldn't eat. They weren't given proper medical care. They weren't given access to education. They were in a prison and they knew it. So many of our child clients would come to us telling us how they tried to encourage their mom to just run when they were being put onto another bus to be transported to another prison. This is not a shelter. It's a prison, and none of these kids are too young to know that they are being imprisoned. Trump, Sessions, and all of those doing their bidding within ICE, within CBP, the immigration courts, the federal courts prosecuting people for coming to this country and asking for asylum, they are imprisoning and punishing people for refusing to stay home and die. And we cannot stand for that.
No.